Well, hello everybody and welcome to another video tutorial. My name is Drakulic, and in this video tutorial I would like to give you an example of how you can use drivers in Blender for creating some complex animation that otherwise will be difficult for getting them by hand. So before getting there though, I would like to show you my scene. Here in my scene I have added this crankshaft object and I have given to it a rotation around its local y-axis. You can see if I have selected the crankshaft down here in this slider here, the y-axis rotation in this property panel, okay, changing all the time and getting to the value 3200. So it starts from 0 degrees for the first frame and it goes all the way through 3200 for the last frame of our animation. Okay, so now I want to link to parent, if you want, and to link those propellers to the crankshaft object. So there are many ways for parenting an object to another. There is the simple way by let me select this leftmost propeller here and then shift click on this crankshaft object and press Ctrl P, and I want to parent the propeller to the crankshaft object. Now if I go over here to the outliner, you can see that I have the propeller number 1, which is this one, parented to the shaft object, which is this axis here, the crankshaft. So this is a simple way of parenting, and of course if I play the animation, now you can see that the propeller is following the rotation of the crankshaft. But what about if I wanted, let's say, to link the propeller to the crankshaft in a way that it gives the effect of having a delay before starting rotating? Well, in that case there, I should use a driver, and I want to tell you here that drivers are a very powerful concept of Blender because they allow the user to link a property of an object to a property of another object in a very flexible manner. So in essence, drivers are a special type of node. Okay, so if I select my middle propeller now, I want to go here to these property panels and I want to link its rotation around the y-axis to the rotation around the y-axis of the crankshaft. So in order for me to do so, I want to go over here to the slider y-axis rotation and I want to right click and add single driver. So now I have added a driver to my middle propeller, and if you take a closer look over here in the outliner, go find this propeller 2 object, which is this middle propeller with the driver just added to it, and if you click on this little plus icon over here, you can see that we have an animation child node here, and this child node has also inside under this animation node there is a drivers node which contains the shaft object here. So that shows, you can see this hierarchy tree inside Blender that shows the dependency or the link between the y rotation of the middle propeller and the rotation around the y-axis of the shaft object. So let me fold this really quick. Alright, and now let me split this window here and I want to bring up the graph editor window. This is the place where you want to modify your drivers. Alright, and you need first to click on this little button, F-curve button, and select the drivers option. So now you can see the driver that I have just added to my middle propeller being here. If you click on that, nothing happens because we don't have yet linked any property of the crankshaft object to this driver. So we need first to specify the type of driver. Hit N, so I'm hitting N, I'm bringing this side panel here, and I want to change the type of driver from script expression, which is by default there, to average value. And then I want to specify the object, which is going to be, of course, the shaft object, the crankshaft object. Alright, and I want to change the type from X location to the Y rotation of my crankshaft object. So I'm doing that. Alright, so now if I play back my animation, you can see that the middle propeller is rotating at the same ratio in a one-to-one relationship, if you prefer, with the crankshaft here. So that's very important, but it seems like the simple parenting we did just before. It seems pretty much the same thing, but now there is a difference, because now we can modify this curve here, this pink driver curve. So we can give to this middle propeller an ease in, a smooth starting whatever. Okay, so we can make it to start smoothly and with a delay effect. This is what we're going to do in just a moment. But before getting there, I would like to show you something. Can you see this little white dot over here in the graph editor? Well, this dot is a marker that shows the value. It reads the value on the vertical axis that the property of Y rotation property of our middle propeller gets because of the driver that has been linked to it, and because of the relation of this driver with the rotation of the crankshaft. So if you remember from before, if I select my crankshaft object and I go to the animation that I have keyframed for it, I have given to it a rotation range that goes from 0 for the first frame all the way up to the 3200 degrees. So I need, in order for me to get this delay effect for the middle propeller, I need to make this white marker at the last frame of my animation to read the very same value of 3200 degrees. So as you can see right now, I am at the last frame of my animation. I know that if you take a look here at the time marker, 250, but the white marker has not been, has not moved to the last frame of my animation, because this white marker, although on the x-axis we have the frames, this white marker doesn't follow the real animation. It's just a marker of this curve that shows the change of the value on this pink curve. All right. So having that in mind, we need, for the last frame of my animation, I know that I can read here 250, this white marker to read the value 3200. That corresponds to the same amount of turns with the crankshaft. Alright, so for the moment it's okay, because you can read here 3200, between 2000 and 4000, it's 3000 something. Alright, but we need to make this curve to have an ease in, a smooth transition towards this 3200 value. So this is what we're going to do right away by going to the modifiers panel for our driver and adding a modifier envelope. Alright, so let me first give it to the envelope modifier a value of 0 for the minimum value. We don't want minimum values for the envelope modifier whatsoever, because we don't want for our propeller to start rotating in the reverse direction, right? And for the maximum value for this envelope modifier, I'm giving it the number 3200, which is exactly equal with the final value of degrees of rotation for my crankshaft. Alright, now nothing happens inside the graph here, the graphical representation, this curve here. So, and this is because I need first to add a point to my envelope modifier, and I'm adding a point, and I'm setting the frame for this point to be the first frame of my animation, the 0 frame. So let me set this to be the 0 frame. So I want for this point to have a minimum of 0 and a maximum of 0 values. That corresponds to the very point that where they intersect the horizontal and the vertical axis in this graphical representation. Now, when I'm at the last frame of my animation, and I'm there now, because I can read on this time marker here, the number 250, the white dot marker though is found now at the frame about 55, something like that. So this is where I want to add my next point for my envelope modifier. So go to the last frame of your animation and then try to guess, try to see from this x-axis here where is the horizontal position of this white dot marker, and it is at about frame 55 something. So exactly at the frame 55, all right, I want to add a new point, of course, first. So add a point and set the point to be the number 55. All right, now for this point, my new point of envelope, and I hope you can see it if I zoom in a little bit. So there is a second point here. All right, you can see it now here in the envelope modifier. I need to modify the minimum and maximum limits. So I'm setting the minimum to 0 and I'm setting the maximum value to 3200, because this is where I want, this is the value that I want for the white marker to have when I am at the last frame of my animation. So now you can see we have a very smooth transition, a smooth curve here between the first and the last frame of our animation. Alright, so let me play back the animation, and you can see that the middle propeller is starting slowly but steadily to accelerate until it gets to the final value of 3200 degrees. Alright, you can see that, which is a very nice result, very, it looks like it has a delay effect, something. Alright, so now I want to do the same for the third propeller here, with the difference that I want now this third propeller to start rotating after the second one. So I need, for this propeller here, I need to modify this driver, this curve here, so it starts somewhere here in the middle of this curve now. So, having selected my middle propeller, I'm heading over to this violet whatever slider here. I'm right clicking and I'm selecting copy driver. And now I want to select my third propeller, my rightmost propeller, and I want to right click inside the Y rotation slider, and I want to paste the driver. Now if I play back the animation, you can see that both propellers, the two of them, are having the same, exactly the same behavior. Right? They start rotating having a delay, but I don't want that. I want for the third propeller to start at a later time. So having selected this propeller, the rightmost one, I need to go to this curve here, all right, of the modifier, view properties, and I want to start, modifying the envelope modifier for this propeller now. So for this propeller, I need to make a different curve. All right, so you can start by playing around with those two values, but we want rather a third point here because we want to modify this curve. So I'm setting the value for the frame for the second point to something like 25, and 25 corresponds to about the middle point of the total white marker animation, not the real animation, the white marker animation. So I'm setting the value for this to be something low, something like 500, let's say. All right, you can also scrub the slider here until you find a good point. And the important thing here is that you need to make the curve as smooth as possible. So I need to add yet another point now, and I set this point to be, the frame for this point to be the frame 55, which corresponds to the last frame for the white dot marker animation. So I'm setting the minimum value to 0, and I'm setting the maximum value to something like 3200 maybe. Well, try that. You can see we have a rather, well, it's not that smooth, but I guess we can try it and we can see how it behaves now. So let me play back the animation. You can see that now the third propeller here starts the first one, then the second one, and after a while the third propeller starts rotating. So you can play around with those frames, numbers, so you can move, let's say, at a later frame, the second point, but in this case, you can see now that the animation here is a little bit abrupt, excuse me, a little bit too fast, you know. It shows here a corner, something. We don't want corners, we want smooth curves. Let me zoom in a little bit so I can show you better what I'm talking about. So we need, for this third point now, we need to lower down, it's okay, we can lower down the maximum value. We don't care that much about that. Let's make it something like 1500 perhaps. Something like so, and maybe we need to move the frame somewhere here, right? So maybe here. Don't worry about where exactly, because the white dot marker will never reach that frame. Only the real animation time marker will reach that frame there, but not the white dot marker. All we care about is that white dot marker, and all we need to have is a smooth curve, all right? And so let me play back the animation now, and you can see that the first propeller starts rotating, then the second one, and then the third one slowly starts accelerating and start rotating around the y-axis. So you can play around with those values until you get the result you're going for. If you want for this to reach the peak value of 3200, let's say, you can do that by setting the max value for the last point of our envelope modifier to 3200. Let me try this out. First starts the first propeller, then the next one, and slowly but steadily starts the other propeller. And you can play around with the frame and things like that. You can scrap the slider, you get the meaning. You can have infinite variations of how these curves and the behavior of the propeller can change. Alright, but the important thing is that you don't have any corners here. You want smooth transitions, keep that in mind. Or even if the rightmost propeller never reaches the peak point, the peak value of 3200. Alright. Still, the animation will look nice and very convincing, I would say. So, that concludes our tutorial for today. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I tried to show you how the drivers can give you the option for flexible parenting, and don't think that this is only for rotation. You can play around, you can experiment with other kind of transformations like scale, location, and things like that. So, give it a try. Drivers are a great tool and concept in Blender. Alright, so that was our tutorial for today. Hope you enjoyed it and you learned something from this. If you like this tutorial, don't forget to subscribe. See you next time with a hopefully interesting topic. Hopefully soon. Until then, have fun and goodbye.